Welcome to the Earn More, Stress Less podcast with me, Caro Syson, and my co-host for this season 2, Hayley Hudson. This podcast is for self-employed business owners just like you who really want to grow their business and become successful and profitable and without all the stress and hassle. We want to share over 50 years of our business experience to show you how simple it can be to earn more money and how you can get organised without needing a business degree or any other qualification. We'll be talking about the easy steps that you can put in place right now to start earning more money today and to help you get the business that you deserve and dream of. So without further ado, let's get started. This week's podcast is sponsored by Pocket PA, helping self-employed business owners to get organised, understand their finances and do their accounts all in one place using a powerful online tool. If you're serious about making a profit and having a successful business, then using a simple digital app like Pocket PA is the best way to grow and scale your business. Visit pocketpa.com for more details and start managing your money like a pro today. Welcome to the Earn More, Stress Less podcast, your go-to resource for small solo business owners to learn more business tips. I'm your host, Caro Syson, and I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Hayley Hudson. Hello, Hayley.
Hi, Caro. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just having a curly-whirly amnesty at the moment, but we won't talk about that too much. I think anybody that watches my social media knows that I'm a curly-whirly addict, but I have just put them all away. So moving swiftly on, let's talk about the proper topic for today's podcast. So today we're going to be diving into the importance of keeping up with industry trends and continuous learning, also known as CPD. You've probably heard of it referred to as CPD if you are a small business owner. And as small business owners, staying informed about the latest trends and developments in our industry is crucial for staying competitive and providing that exceptional customer service that we want to be known for by our clients. So thank you for joining Hayley and I today. We're going to be exploring why it's essential to keep up to date, how to find the time, how to find the resources to invest in it, and some practical tips for keeping up with these industry trends while balancing the demands of running our own solo business. So let's get started. Firstly, I think I really need to emphasize the significance and the importance of staying updated with these industry trends. I think in order to remain competitive, provide high quality service, and to really be credible for justifying our prices, any increases that we want to put in place, I think we need to just really make sure that we bake in and factor in continuous learning, because it will enhance our skills, it will expand our knowledge, it differentiates us in a busy market, and it will also let our clients feel much more satisfied that they are getting and receiving services from somebody that is totally up to date. What are your thoughts on CPD and training and investing in yourself, Hayley? How have you found CPD and learning?
Complete explosion of it, haven't we, since lockdown? I would say definitely in the online space, everybody seems to be an educator. So I think you have to do your due diligence whenever you are going out there and getting education for a start. But I think that there's a big uptake in people taking a lot of information on board about delivering the service, so there's people learning new color techniques, new different types of facials, various different types of services essentially to increase their menu. But one thing I would say is that if you're wanting to make more money in your business and you're only focusing on getting that new service in your business, you have to be so careful, because if you haven't learned the business backup behind that, you could just be creating a bottleneck in your business and end up plateauing really on a financial ceiling point that you've created, because you might be at capacity already and this new service may not necessarily transform your business in the way that you want it to. So by that, what I mean is, if you're already full to capacity and you're like, I need to learn this new thing, of course it's really, really good to stay abreast of everything that's new, but actually be careful that you're not getting the new shiny object syndrome, where you just think, after I've learned this treatment, after I've learned this service, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be better. Because actually, I know for me, certainly, in our business, well, in my business, I've had a lot of stylists who I've worked with who have concentrated on some of the high ticket services, and actually it's been detrimental to their business. I mean, I won't linger on that for too long, but and I'm not saying all high ticket services will do that, but you just have to be so careful, that it doesn't work against your business model. So if you're not working with a business mentor or somebody on the business education side, you have to be really, really careful. So my top tip would be learn the new service, learn the new treatment, but also you need to work with somebody to get a growth strategy, because just learning new things isn't enough.
Yeah, it's just more shelf help, as I've referred to in previous podcasts.
Yes, it is.
So, the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that you find time for learning, because if you are just in the trenches working in your business, often you don't take any time and come up for breath. So, you need to plan ahead for baking your learning into your schedule. So, time blocking is something we've spoken about before. I think you should allocate a dedicated time each week or each month for learning activities. And this can be a whole different range of things. It could be webinars, it could be just reading some industry publications. It could be taking online courses. There are a whole load of different things and different ways that you can actually broaden your knowledge, increase learning and stuff. Some of my cost-effective favorites are podcasts, listening to podcasts. It's really easily accessible now for anybody to carry on learning with limited budgets. And it's not just necessarily your niche that you might want to be focusing in on. You want to be thinking about your broader overall growth and learning potential. So investing in yourself, there are lots of lunch and learns, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook groups, but you can use online platforms that offer free or low cost courses. There are so many YouTube tutorials, education websites, industry specific forums or groups. But you need to prioritize your learning as an investment in your personal and professional growth. And it can ultimately benefit your business in the short, medium, and long term. So finding time for learning. How do you factor in that time each week or each month, Hayley? What do you do? What are your tips?
I try and, well, I have different layers of learning. So I have a mentor myself. So I have a mentor and I have a coach, actually. So I invest in myself significantly. I've invested over £50,000 worth of mentoring and coaching, at least over the years. And so I schedule different times in with them, obviously for our calls or working on new things, parts of their training and stuff like that. But I also factor in listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks as well, whether that be on a car journey, whether that be if I'm exercising or even just on a dog walk. I try and create just time within my working week, really, to make sure that I'm doing that. So it doesn't always feel like I'm working. Because then, of course, then you have to factor in the actual work. So I get it. It's really, really difficult to make sure that you're doing all of these things, as well as delivering the service to your clients. So it can be quite overwhelming. So I just make sure that I do the time blocking like you've suggested. I personally prefer it to work in short time blocks. I think, is it called the Pomerero method? That's probably totally wrong. I will find out what it's actually called, and pop that in the show notes. But basically, it's where you work on something for 25 minutes, completely cut yourself off, then you have a little break and reward yourself, and then you get back to it. I really don't think I've got the name right to that, but we'll find out what it is. But it's a great technique, no matter what the name of it is.
And I've got an app actually. It's it's a free one that I just downloaded off of the Apple iTunes called Digital Clock. And apart from it being able to give you a digital clock to be able to see the time at night when I'm away as like my alarm clock, it's also got this 25-minute focus time, and you can listen or do your task or do something for your set period. It doesn't have to be 25, but the recommended is you start at 25 and then you have a 5-minute downtime and a break, and then you come back and refocus again for another 25 minutes. And you can put that into sort of clusters of learning spells. I mean, obviously, you're going to be fitting this in and out of maybe your clients and your service delivery. So I would just suggest this idea of time blocking, but do it, give yourself a set amount of time. So don't think, oh, I've got to just do so much stuff, I can't even get started, and you feel overwhelmed from the get-go. Just set aside a set period of time, 25 minutes. It goes in a flash once you get involved in whatever it is that you're listening or learning to. But moving on, we've touched on how affordable it can be now to increase your knowledge base and how affordable learning options can be. So we've touched on podcasts. Obviously, people that are listening today are already doing what we're preaching to the choir, the converted. They're listening to us, so they are already invested in broadening their knowledge. But there are lots of Facebook forums and groups and things, aren't there? What have you tapped into any groups? I know you said you spent about 50,000 on your own learning and stuff. I think I've spent, well, I'm a bit older than you, but I've spent upwards of 150 to 200,000 on all of my learning and self-development and improvement and stuff. I don't think I came to actual self-development till quite late. I wasn't into my 30s until I actually realized it was a thing. And I went in both feet at the beginning and really invested a huge amount in the early years in my 30s. And then as my businesses got busy in my 40s, and then again, I've invested quite a lot over the last 3 to 5 years in my own self-development and growth and learning. But there are lots of very affordable forums, groups, memberships and things that are available, lots of free groups, but also paid groups. What's your experience with low-cost memberships and things, Hayley?
There's a lot of memberships out there, and I think, I am members of some of those memberships, and I have been over time, but I think you have to be really, really careful with them, because for me, I don't personally have a membership. It's not something, I'm not sure if I will offer it in the future, but for the moment, I feel that for me personally, I get the most out of working one-to-one with somebody. And I think so when I'm doing that education and offering packages to my clients, I'm always mindful of that, because there's a huge push when you are an educator to do a group program or do the membership or whatever. Obviously it can be a numbers game. But for me, I still prefer that good old-fashioned one-to-one touch. I don't know. I think people get really good results out of it. So, have a look at things like that. Don't be afraid to join an online membership. A lot of them don't have, big tie-in periods or anything like that. But I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, me and Caro have just spoken about huge investments. It's probably blown a lot of people's minds out there. But, we didn't start off like that. I mean, I myself, I've got a lot of free resources on my website that you can use. I've got downloads. I've got templates just for a few quid. My one-to-one clients invest anything from £249 right through to between £8,000 and £10,000. And with both of those, with those packages from the 249 right up to the 8 to 10 grand, you get a one-to-one with me. It's got advice, it's got tips, we've got accountability. In some of them, you've got unlimited access to me, and you get a specific growth plan targeted to your specific business. And I think, I'm just adding that in to sort of give people perspective, because I know myself, I've listened to people and I thought, oh my God, I'd love to work with them. And I thought, it must be thousands. I'll never be able to afford that. And actually, having done my research, sometimes you can get, you can actually get entry level access to them for quite an inexpensive for quite a low investment. It doesn't have to be, you might just want a one-off power hour, or you might want, a bespoke strategy day, just a couple of hours or a couple of minutes of somebody's time. Sometimes when you hear the big price tags, that's because you've worked with them for a year, or you've had a real huge investment with them. So don't be afraid to do your research. If there's somebody that you resonate with and you think, my God, I really think I could do some work with them, just inquire. Don't be afraid to put the inquiry in and put the feelers out. And one thing usually leads to another. And if they aren't the right person for you, you might then find somebody else who could be, just through doing the research. And it gets yourself used to the thought of investing in yourself as well. Familiarize yourself with it, because it is quite an alien thing to our industry. I think we're quite slow to the market in the hair and beauty industry. It's quite a new thing to work with a coach or a mentor.
And also, I think you need to remember, when you're paying for this advice or coaching or mentorship or belonging to these groups or forums, you're investing in yourself, and you're actually going to be in receipt of the actual skill or the knowledge base or whatever. And it's actually going to be staying with you. It's not something that's going to depart or leave the building, when businesses invest in somebody and then the person doesn't work for them anymore. You're investing in yourself. So you're your own money making machine, and you're going to retain that knowledge base and skill set. And you need to think of it like a layering of levels, where you're growing yourself a little bit and then you're putting it into practice, and then you're ready for some more learning and you're going to go on and improve. And it's not just necessarily industry niche. It's not necessarily technical things that you want to be learning, because the stuff that you're doing in your business are important. And, we've talked previously about staying abreast of different trends and investing in courses to improve your actual skill set on being able to justify the prices that you're charging your clients. And they like to see that you're up to date with all the different trends and stuff. But actually investing in yourself to support yourself, your growth, about things around running a business, about learning about marketing skills. I think you need to really focus on learning topics that are directly relevant to your niche, on your target market, and to maximize your time on your resources, to be able to know that when you do allocate time to learning and your growth, that you're actually putting your time and focus on things that are going to make a difference to either your confidence, because that can't be quantified, and your delivery, or actually to your bottom line by learning new skills and services that you're going to be able to charge and get a direct return on investment. But don't underestimate the actual return on investment when you're increasing your confidence. And that comes with the skill sets and perhaps the intangible learning that you might do to grow your confidence through other avenues. What are your thoughts on that, Hayley?
Yeah, I totally agree. And the thing to remember is it's not a passing trend. It's not like learning the next treatment that's going to go out of fashion. When you are investing in yourself, when you're investing in business education, it's not only the practical knowledge, it's also the change in the mindset as well. You know, when you're sitting there and somebody says something, it just resonates and you're like, oh my God, I will never look at that situation in the same light again. You know, that's invaluable. It's priceless. And, you know, and I always say the difference between a coach and a mentor, a coach is somebody who sometimes they've done the thing. They haven't necessarily done the thing. They might have, you know, I mean, I've had coaches and I've had mentors, but coaches kind of can sit in there with you and cheer you on, but they're not going, here's a step-by-step system to get to the thing that you want. So with me, how I work, I'm a mentor, and people go to me, well, what's one of those? Is it just a new fancy word for coach? I'm like, well, no, I'm a mentor because I've done the thing that you're trying to do. So in hairdressing or beauty, you know, I've been the freelancer, I've been the salon owner, I've had an employed team, I've had a freelance team, I've made a passive income, you know, the list goes on, you know, and whatever it is, whatever stage in your business, you go, Hayley, I want to do X. How do I do that really quickly? And I go, right, okay. I look through my brain and my filing cabinet of all of my experiences, and I go, right, this work, this work, this work. This is the quickest route that I have found to get you this result. And that's the best way that I can explain it. You know, I'm not waiting for you to come up with the answers. When I first had a coach, I only got so far because he was like sitting there going, well, what are you going to do next? And I'm going, I don't know. That's why I'm paying you, you know, and he couldn't advise me what to do next. You know, all he could do was wait and facilitate me in coming up with what the next step was. Whereas you get a mentor, it's a game changer. They're just like, oh, go on. It's really easy. This is how you word it. This is what you do. And off you pop, you know, and you're like, oh, okie dokie. Well, that was easy. So like when people work with me, it's literally like I'm part of your business. I'm like your business bestie. It's like, come on. It's almost like I'm an unpaid business partner. Okay, I know I'm paid, but I'm not getting any of the upsweet. You know, if we double your turnover and your income, I don't get a piece of that pie. But you know, I'm sitting there with you, we're cheerleading, and you know, it's just not a passing trend. If you're thinking or you're sitting on the fence about investing in your business education, just do it, because it will help you in your relationships, your personal life. It will help you in every single area of your life. When you get that confidence and you feel grounded in yourself and you're sure, you know, you won't let people speak to you in certain ways. You know, when you feel like you're an actual business person, that is a game changer.
Yeah. And I think when you're sort of working out what you want to spend your time on and how you want to improve yourself, you need to keep an eye on what's changing and what's evolving. Is that something that you found in your industry, in particular in hair?
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm always keeping an eye on it. It's always changing, isn't there? So at the moment, we've still got a lot of people doing more training on learning to work with different hair textures. That's really big. So there's a lot of people that are specialising in curly hair. Alongside, there's plenty of other things that are booming as well. But I think it's really important to always keep an eye on what's changing, see what's emerging. So you're always slightly ahead of the game. And then when you've pinpointed the thing that is ahead of the game, make sure you're shouting about it. Make sure you're offering something that very few people have cottoned on to. I know that back in, I think it was 2014, I was the first person in the Midlands to be trained in balayage. So I had clients travel from all over the country. The first client that booked in with me was a blogger. That was a lot of pressure. I was like, yeah, I've done loads of these. Yeah, really good at it. Brilliant. And literally just fresh back from doing my training with Jack Howard in London. He was fresh over from America, and he was pioneering it in the UK. And I saw it and I was like, I've been waiting for so long for this to come over to the UK. So I booked in straight with him. I think it was somewhere in London. I think it was down Knightsbridge somewhere. And it was fantastic. And later on, I mean, I was working very much on my own. I got a salon at the time, but it was in the very, very early days. So I think I'd had a few team members, and things hadn't worked out. So I was working back on my own. And then when I did grow my team again, I got him in to do a team training day with the whole of the salon and all of the team members. And that really put us on the map, because if you Googled balayage, we were like number one. So that was fantastic. So, keep an eye on online resources, go to trade shows, keep an eye on fashion shows, look at trade magazines, follow industry experts and different fashion outlets as well, and see what's coming over from different countries and jump on something.
Yeah. And I know it sounds like, we're going on, there's loads of things that you can do and you should be focusing a lot of your time. It's not a lot of time that we're suggesting. We're just saying you need to keep one eye on CPD growing, thinking about when you're going to factor it in, because I know that you're going to be busy day to day with your business demands, with your clients, and just keeping your head above water often. But you just need to work on managing your time effectively as a solo business owner. So you can think about other times. It doesn't have to be in your work day that you're actually fitting in your CPD. It might be that you're cooking the tea or something and you've got a video on in the background. I know a lot of people when they're working for themselves that do things at children's tea time, or they've just got an educational video, or they've got something in the car when they're running on a school run or something. They're just playing a podcast or an audio book, or they're out for the walk, taking the dog for the walk, or walking the children coming back from school or whatever, and they've got their headphones in and they're actually making use of that time. And we all make time for social media. It's often our fire gazing time, I know, but don't overlook the idea of actually continuous learning and setting realistic goals as to when you can actually factor it into your work day, your work week. And it doesn't even have to be weekly, even if it's a couple of times a month, but you do need to be thinking about how you can broaden your horizons on that basis. You can also learn by following inspiring accounts on Instagram or on different social media platforms. That's really handy. Do you follow anybody in particular that you look up to and inspires you for your business knowledge and that sort of thing, Hayley?
Oh, you've put me on the spot there. I follow an awful lot of
Oh,
people.
sorry.
I think the good tip though is to find people who do inspire you and look outside of industry. So a lot of the people that I follow are outside of the hair and beauty industry, because I'm really keen to again have an edge on what I do and keep an eye on different industries. So I was looking at someone this morning called Rory Sullivan, and he wrote the book Alchemy, and I always keep an eye on him and what he's doing, which is, I mean, a lot of hair and beauty pros will probably look at him and go, why? But he's all about marketing in a different way and solving problems in a way that you wouldn't automatically think of. He's very interesting. But I always like to have people on my feed that inspire me. So I think if you haven't got time to follow certain people, it's really essential that you can create that kind of inspiring feed rather than just doom scrolling, whether it is that you create a new account that is away from your sort of business account or whatever. So actually on your feed, you're only seeing things that inspire you. I've got a few friends who do that, and they've said, right, I actually only have one feed away from my business, which has got all of the industry experts that I follow. So they literally flick between their profiles and they go on that feed, and it's all inspirational stuff. There's no sort of wormholes that they can be dragged down, which is, looking at cats having a party or something, to just make sure that you've really cleaned it up so that you can be really targeted.
And also, don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone. I know this week I have got a day doing some sales training. Now, I find that whole word sales, I've already got sweaty palms just thinking about driving up to Birmingham. I'm going on a course with a guy called Matt Elwell, and he does a day's sales training. And I'm just going to be dipping my toe in to revisit that whole avenue, because I find sales quite difficult. And as a result, I don't do a lot of what I call proper selling, closing, these conversations, which I feel uncomfortable about. But I've decided that I actually need to explore it more and unpack it and find out what it is that I'm not liking about it, because I know that sales is just a conversation. But I've had this booked in the diary. I put the furthest date that I could in the diary, and it's finally come round to going tomorrow. And I've been added to a WhatsApp group. I've been put in a Facebook group. I've been getting the emails, and even, just looking at the emails, I'm getting more and more anxious. But I know that it will be good for me. And I'll probably bust a whole load of myths when I'm actually on the course. I'm going to get to meet different people that have probably got similar concerns as me. So it is important that, you don't just do things that are in your comfort zone and just listening to things which are just reinforcing or perhaps some new material, but perhaps you actually challenge yourself with a face-to-face course. It was a very affordable course to be able to go up and spend a day with Matt's workshop. So yeah, doing things that are perhaps a little bit further outside of your comfort zone, not in your panic zone, but in your stretch zone, so that you can actually take it on board. The other thing I was thinking about was collaborative learning opportunities with peers and other business owners, either locally or online. I mean, it's sort of partly in your networking circle or whatever, but workshops, masterclasses, these networking events where they might have a learning element to it. These experiences can provide really valuable insights and knowledge sharing opportunities, and also they foster connections with other local peers and industry experts that might lead on to something else, either a collaboration or just further opportunities for your business. And I think it's nice to do it with somebody else. It can feel very isolating running our own businesses. It can sometimes feel very isolating when we're in our business working on our own. So it's possible to improve your skills and your business practices with peers. And I think that that's a great way to do it. Have you done any sort of collaborative learning, Hayley? Is that something that you enjoy?
I have, yes. I've got a couple of WhatsApp groups actually that I'm part of who that I've made with people who I've met on other business events. So we've created almost like our own little mastermind. So that's been really good, and we've just shared our different insights and tips and things like that. And it's nice just to kind of keep each other accountable as well. So we keep each other on track. It's really nice. And interestingly, I've actually been and done some work with Matt Elwell. So I think you will be great on that course. I think you'll do really well. So please don't be concerned about it. Don't be worried. And you will have a fantastic time and you'll learn lots and lots.
Oh, thank you. I needed that right now because I am a bit nervous about tomorrow. And also, just to remind our listeners, you and I met at a networking event and we decided to collaborate to do the podcast because we could see that we had a really good fit and we were matching on our personality styles and our objectives and stuff. And as a result of doing the podcast, I know, you've learned some podcasting pros and tips and various bits and pieces that you hadn't known about before. And I've actually loved doing it with you to be able to help me with my confidence and that sort of thing. So these opportunities do come about from networking events and stuff. And it is possible that they springboard onto other things, because that is the whole basis of our season 2 of our podcast, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think for me, I've just started to say yes to things. So when you said about coming on the podcast, initially I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to do a podcast. I don't know what I'm doing. I bought all the stuff to do it about a year and a half ago, and it's been sat in my cupboard. I got every intention to do a podcast. And you were like, do you know how to make one? I'm like, no, but I can talk. So I will just turn up and hopefully it'll be okay. So I hope that it's been okay, because this has been my first ever podcast experience. So, and the thing is, you have to put yourself out of your comfort zone. You don't get growth by sitting there being comfortable. My husband messaged me and said, I'm so proud of you. You've done all this. And I'm like, oh, it's been, at times it's been painful. If you heard some of our bloopers, but that's the fun of it, isn't it? It's okay to make mistakes. Give yourself the space to make a mistake, and just go out there and do it. And this podcast could lead on to other podcasts, or it could lead on to me going, I never want to do a podcast ever again. But either way, I've done it, and I have quite enjoyed myself. Just to let you know, I've enjoyed myself. I do go off on a tangent. I need to practice being a little bit more concise, but that's just me. I do go off on a tangent.
Oh, and it's been lovely to do it together. So yeah, I hope people realize that progress over perfection, and CPD and learning is continuous. It's not a once and done thing. It's something that you will need to focus time on and energy. All through our lives, we're always growing. So don't be afraid of learning something new and actually implementing it. That's the important part. You need to implement it and have time for the information that you've learned to actually settle, percolate, for you to digest it, and then to be able to implement it. So I hope you have learnt a few bits today. I hope you feel inspired and you feel equipped with a bit more knowledge to prioritise your continuous learning and staying up to date with your industry trends. And also attending workshops, online courses, industry workshops and things. It's all around the success of you and your business and your own professional growth and development. So thank you for tuning in to the Earn More Stress Less podcast with me, Caro Syson, and Hayley Hudson. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing and keep thriving in your business. We will catch up with you again very soon.
See you soon.
Thank you so much for listening today to the Earn More Stress Less podcast with me, Caro Syson, and my co-host Hayley Hudson. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then do hit subscribe so we can catch up again soon. And please kindly leave a review if you've got a moment and share with anyone else that you think this podcast could help on their self-employed journey. If you're ready to make bigger breakthroughs in your business life and want to get way more organised and understand your finances the really simple way, then start your very own 14-day free trial today using the super powerful software tool Pocket PA that I made for my own son and daughter. Go to pocketpa.com/podcast and let's get you on the way to earning more money and stressing much less. Have a great week, whatever you're doing.